Welcome guys to another episode of QuakeLive Plays. It's episode 11, I'm DDK, and this will be Fazz versus Ash, which is pretty cool because I don't think I've done a Cure game, let alone an Ash game before. I have no idea how this would go, so it'd be very interesting to jump into this one. And we're on Fazz to begin with, so let's just go, shall we? So here we are. So from Fazz's perspective, he spawns at red. He goes for the rail first, and you know why would he go for the rail first? Well, it's the kind of the hardest weapon out of the rocket launcher and the rail to get here, and he can just drop down onto the rocket launcher. So very simple logic there. What is he thinking about next? He's thinking about going for this LG to just collect all the weapons. And so here you go, you see him going for the LG. Quick little engagement. Has the teleporter to get himself through there. But that was all that was just going for the LG to get all the weapons. So what are his objectives now? It's quite simple. It's red armor. He did a bit of rocket damage, so he's quite confident to take a fight. So let's see what happens. Let's see how he sets up for red here. Will he just drop straight in on it? Or looks like he's going to try to play the mind games here. So what he's thinking is, okay, Ash. Rather, he's thinking that in Ash's head, Ash is like, oh crap, I took some damage there. I don't want to fight a red. I'd rather just get a yellow, maybe a green, or something. You know, keep away. And so Fazz is actually going around the back instead of going for red. So this could be pretty interesting. Spots Ash is going to not pick up the yellow armor and make his way around. And now Ash has got position on the red armor, and Ash is going to get the grab on the red armor as well. So that was a play from Fazz that backfired. But this is, you know, Fazz does love to do little plays like that. But definitely it backfired heavily. Ash was able to return damage quite well, and by actually picking up more resources in the first place as well, definitely puts Fazz on the back foot. However, it's very easy to, well, I wouldn't say it's very easy to play defensively against any really good player, but it's definitely a map where playing defensively is quite viable as well as playing aggressively. So he's just going to reserve himself at the moment to being like, okay, I didn't give away a frag. It is still even, so all he has to do is just accumulate armor, try to get some item times, keep pressure up, pick up shards, pick up greens, pick up the yellow, and build himself up. Taking that rail was really kind of sucky. He was out there for a little bit too long, and now he's trying to get kind of position around the red armor. And it's not really to amount to anything but just having spots where you can get out of there quite easily. And you can see that what he's doing is he's kind of extending around all the map, like trying to move in all these finicky places on the lower levels where it's quite certain Ash won't be there, because there's Ash is going to be up on the good positions. So Fazz is kind of sneaking around on these like kind of crappy little positions on the lower areas, trying to just work his way around the map. And I guess a term for this sort of play is when you're out of control, you want to move in the kind of the blind spots or the gaps of your opponent's control or his routes, so that you're always passing unseen. And Fazz basically just went to the center of the map, and he wasn't really seen. He may have been heard, but he wasn't seen. This really gives him a lot of information to just keep himself alive. Because what's the best defensive strategy? Sorry, just to pause again. What is like the best defensive strategy? It's to get as much information as possible. It's how it's done in any kind of war of any kind. Get as much information as possible so you can make the most informed defense. That's kind of what Fazz was aiming to do there. Went back to his usual tricks over at the green, but Ash, you can see, is pushing in on there as he's really trying to control those high positions. Fazz now moving back over to the mega, again trying to not make any sounds, gets a rail, but Ash was ready for the angle, so he traded. Really good for Ash there, and Fazz peeks for the second, and again it's actually Ash that hits this. So now Fazz once again in exactly the same position he was in 1 minute ago. So let's see if he's able to do what he did before and just build up a little bit. Try and play in the blind spots of Ash here. And you can hear the jump pad, times the spam, but Ash didn't run into it, he instead dropped. So Fazz again, this is it really, just running the top level. But there it is. The sound cue's very misleading there for Fazz. Fazz totally thought he was coming from a different location, and it said he went through the teleporter and charged onto Fazz, and Fazz now dropped the frag. This is really, really bad. Just quickly want to speak to the point of, if you're 0-0, it's even if you're out of control, it is so fine. It's so fine, because all you have to do is just get armor and just eventually take a nice fight. That's great. If you're 0-1, however, things tend to get a little bit more annoying, because it actually means that you have to force kind of engagements, whereas Ash isn't really going to be looking for fights. Instead, Ash's strategy revolves around maintaining good positions and making sure that he can predict the fights that Fazz brings to him, or that he only really pokes to just keep Fazz low, to always keep Fazz in a position where he can't really do anything. And that's kind of what Ash is going to be aiming to do, or at least that is the most common and one of the most optimal ways to play this. Ways to play the lead. You can get super aggressive, but really, control is about is about controlling all the resources, and that way your opponent's gonna be so starved that he can't really do anything, and that's how you maintain your lead. And then eventually you'll find your opponent in spots like that. Fazz was kind of just caught out there, and it's a little bit unlucky, but he's just caught out, and the frags kind of start to come by themselves. This is why, to newer players, we always focus on trying to build good control first. One of the things I try to teach people is usually about control and survival, because those are the two big skills, really big fundamental skills that aren't so obvious or easy to train. So you got to kind of focus train on them. But we have Fazz again. He's trying his old tricks, trying to play on the outskirts, getting damaged all over the place, and this is really kind of bad for Fazz, because we almost always, apart from there maybe, see Ash in a position that he's very aware of where Fazz is when Fazz goes for the shot, and whether it's by luck or not, Ash is always able to not only trade damage, but he actually gets more damage than Fazz does, which is so bad for Fazz because he's got less resources. Very, very simple. So Fazz again, still trying to work the outskirts here. And here comes Ash, and this was a very efficient fight for Fazz. That rail was very unfortunate, and that rail was really nice by Ash, because what happened there was, with the amount of damage that Fazz just did, all Fazz really needs to do is get a little pickup or another kind of a good position, and he can really just throw in like a really kind of desperate attempt to just finish Ash off, or trade really well. Maybe they both die or something. Like something like that would be really, really worthy cause for Fazz to suicide onto. However, now Fazz is on 3 health. It's actually more valuable for him to just go for his weapons, because if he was to like push the issue now, he would just die and not really do anything. So it's better now to just be like, all right, I sold my weapons at the very least. So that's what Fazz is going for here. So again, the story has been the same the entire map so far. And one thing I like about these QuakeLive plays is that it doesn't matter how the game goes. There's always something that I can discuss that's interesting, regardless of the POV. Unless it's complete decimation, then it's not very interesting. But this is very, very cool to see. Fazz, he's down 2 frags. Again, he's just trying to get the items that he can get that are in the blind spots of Ash and Ash's route around the map. And now he's just guarding the teleporter exit. He hasn't done this yet, and the red there might be coming up soon. I'm not sure if he has a time on it. I don't think he does. And that was a bit of a mistake, and he's kind of trapped here. This could be bad, but Ash doesn't try to push the issue. Ash instead just tries to maintain his cycle. And again, another thing I can talk about there is sometimes kills do present themselves to you when you're in control. But again, as I was talking about before, and you really will see this a lot with a lot of the really good players who are very confident with control. A lot of the Russians specifically that like to play a little slower too, like Agent, and even sometimes the likes of Kuda and Pavel and so on. What they recognize is that sometimes the frag is not really worth pushing, because Fazz, Ash kind of knew where he was, and Fazz could only go 2 ways. Ash knew exactly where he was, but the thing is that this is something Twister brought up one Sunday Cup, was on Toxicity. Toxicity is a really good map to really see how this works. When one player gets in really, really dominant control, they can set up an item cycle in a way that they always arrive at the pattern works. They can just go from one item to the next, and it always spawns for them. So, and you have to try to push them off of this fights where they're constantly getting armor and health, just constantly getting armor and health at the right times. It's really hard to deal with because they're always so stacked, and you get nothing. So again, if Ash can build towards that, if he can keep that going, keep perpetuating strong control, Fazz doesn't ever get anything. And the same situation for the last 5 minutes repeats. Fazz tries to take a shot, he gets hit, or maybe if he doesn't get hit, he still can't. He's still always too low to do anything against Ash, which is really unfortunate for him. So just wanted to highlight that little element of control there. The whole idea of an implied frag which will come from control. Eventually, a frag will come from having very strong control, because they will just, you know, the war of attrition, they'll die over time. They won't be able to survive all of these attacks, these repeated attacks, because they just don't have enough to live on over time. And Fazz now is going to go for the red armor. This is quite a risk, but just to talk about this very quickly. So this is a bit of a risk, but this is a classic way to get back into control. Is to find a big item, get like 100 armor, maybe 150 is always nice, but 100 armor is enough. And wait until the mega is going to spawn, have pinpoint timing on it, or the red armor, and just take a fight on the item as it spawns. So the idea is that essentially, like, you have 100 stack, but effectively you have like a 100 200 or 200 100 stack, because you get it at the key moment during the fight, and that's a really good way to get back control. I mean, Fazz kind of tried this at the red, but he didn't really have a time on it, so it's in a bit of an awkward spot. This is a really efficient place to fight for Fazz, but only if your opponent doesn't have LG or has really low ammunition on the LG. Because now Fazz kind of just traded evenly, and Ash had more stack to begin with. And now we can see Fazz, you know, goes down -1. So really, really good play from Ash so far. Very solid from Ash. And he will finally go down. And recently, you know, I was talking to a lot of people about surviving, like how that's a really, really important skill as a beginner to learn. Like, play your games. If you want to go and focus on one skill, focus on the skill of survival. Because what we just saw from Ash and Fazz here is that Ash was just had dominant control. Every single engagement he won. Fazz was dying. There was like nothing else to talk about really. He was just dying and dying. But he only died like 4 times in about 6 minutes, despite the fact that Ash had every single mega, every single red, and a lot of the yellows as well. So that, despite that, Fazz only died 4 times. He finally got the opportunity, and he's only got to come back 3 frags now. So if you want to practice, if you're a new player and there's one skill you want to practice, definitely try to aim at just surviving, and have your brain like just. Even don't care about winning or losing, because it's just practice. Have your brain over the course of 10-20 matches on like Bloodrun or whatever, just think, okay, just got to survive. If I go out of control, just survive, give away as little frags as possible, so that your brain's always thinking of ways that it can make that situation happen. It can get, you know, you'll like start thinking, okay, I've got to read the opponent better. I've got to like place myself better. If I go here, I'm more exposed, I'm more likely to die. You know, it just starts getting you thinking about the right things. So just wanted to hammer in that concept, because it's really important for newer players. And that was kind of nice from Ash to hit that rocket, but Fazz actually gets what could be the better spawn. Depends on if Ash can hit the shots. He only hit 1, so it is the better spawn, because now Fazz has the LG. Ash does not have the LG. So Ash, again, really good play from Ash. The fight taking close range, and now he gets the LG. So that to me signals game over, because Fazz needs to do something really marvelous, because Ash has every weapon. He's got better stack again, and he's just hitting everything. He's just every single like random grenade, which was only 1 so far, but there it is. And he's hitting that spam rocket to get the trade, the mutual frag also. That was really lucky too. So there you go. Now Fazz is just on the back foot again, and it's definitely nice to look at the player's perspective of the guys losing too. That's always really good to watch sometimes. And Fazz, you know, just nothing's going right from at this point. Gets a bit of damage, but Ash is negligent. It is redundant damage, more or less. Ash is just going to stack back up again. So 2.5 minutes left for 5 frags to get. Fazz, at this point, your options start to become really desperate, and you just can't really pick the fights. This was really, really nice, but then he falls onto Ash. I actually remember that from casting this ages ago. I remember watching it from Ash's perspective, the way he like turns around. He looks like he's screwed, but then he just like does 100% LG as Fazz drops on him. So I think we spoke about everything that was kind of relevant in this cast, which was all about out of control play and like how Fazz was playing it. Because Fazz was actually playing correctly. He just got a bit unlucky, and there were some spots which he missed shots which he should have hit, or Ash got a little bit lucky. So, but generally, from the survival aspect, Fazz was doing the right thing. he was a bit lacking on some of the item times, and he wasn't able to get himself on enough greens or yellows or make strong enough defenses on the top area. We saw that Ash was controlling that too much, and really that's, if you're going to play a slow style like Fazz did, your home, I think, really needs to be on the top level of the map, because there's a lot of, if I can fly around here, can I fly around? No, never mind. I can just tell you. So the very top area is like this like kind of bridges, and you can knock people off of them. Like it's really good for rockets, and rockets. You know, you can block people with them. You can throw them off the area. You know, they're really good defensively and around corners and stuff like that. So it's a really good area. The greens, the top level for getting mega times and red armor times as well. So I think Fazz would have liked to have made a more committed defense to kind of control the top green level, which is kind of out of control area because there's greens and stuff there. And if you can work yourself into a good position there, where the other guy who's got the stack advantage is attacking you when you have 100 armor, I would have liked to see Fazz do that instead of play for the red armor, because we saw him get up to about 100 armor, and I paused and talked about how he was going for that red armor and trying to get it mid-fight and so on, but he didn't really have the timing. So we saw he was there a bit early, and he's kind of in a bad position, then he had to take the fight, and he died. And it ended up being a bit of a weird spot. I would have instead liked him to do that kind of green play on the top level, just to control that and see if he can get a really good defensive fight if Ash gets a bit, let's say, a bit careless. So that's going to be it all. That's going to be everything even for QuakeLive Plays episode 11. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Always leave me feedback. I'll be trying to get some graphics and stuff going as soon as I get a copy of Photoshop, which should be soon, and stuff like that to improve the general quality of things. But let me know what you think, and I'll see you for the next episode. Stay tuned, and remember, you can still tweet me, reply to one of my tweets, or just tweet me, whatever, if you'd like to see yourself in an episode of QuakeLive Plays, one of your demos, analyze that is. And I'll set a date now. I set a week, so let's say I'll close the entry for that on the 15th of January. So, and I'll pick someone randomly. So I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you next time.